On how to make a newsletter. Isn't that fun? By the end of this tutorial, you should know three things. How to make a proper vector, how to create a new template for the newsletter, and how to HTML your newsletter so that way it's all nice and clicky, because we like clicky things. That makes things fun. Now, let's begin. So here is the previous template that I've made. The reason I'm showing you this is so that way you can see how you can use old newsletter templates to make new ones and save you a lot of time, because making a template from scratch is a pain and we don't want to do that. We're lazy, and being lazy makes things fun. So first and foremost, we're going to change this to a different character. So first, let's get rid of all of these images that I have here. Alright, good. I also like to hide this little white rectangle just because it tends to get in the way of things, and then I just put it back in when everything's done. Alright, so first off, we're going to need a vector. To get our vector, I just take screen caps from the show. As you can see here, I have a video already loaded. Isn't that nice? And what you do is you just use the print screen button, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And what that does is that it saves that image to your clipboard, so that way you can edit it in things like Photoshop or GIMP and whatnot, and it makes everything nice. So all you do is just create from clipboard, and you have a nice special image here. So now the key to vectoring is to just get rid of and you don't. What we here I not been in. No, I'm in here. All right. Now to make these vectors, what I like to use is the paint bucket tool. Now normally what the paint bucket tool does is it fills in an area with a specific color. However, Photoshop has this really nice ability called clear. And what that does is, rather than filling in an area, it deletes an area. So as you can see, with just a few quick clicks, I can clear around the area to rarity. Make things nice and easy. I won't go through the entire process because that's boring. The key is to just remove everything that's not needed. One thing you want to pay attention to is to the tolerance. What tolerance does is it basically tells the machine how much it needs to think. So like, for example, up in here, we have sort of that blend of rarities color in with the border. And what the tolerance does is it says, okay, the more tolerance I have, the more I'm just going to sort of guesstimate. And what that means is when you start getting an overlap of colors, when it starts to mix in between, the tolerance will increase how much the paint bucket actually looks at that. So if you have a 0 tolerance, it will only remove that exact color from the area and sort of fuzzy in between stuff. I didn't mean to zoom in, sorry about that. So now about vectors for this show is that they already use pretty flat colors, especially if you take your shots high-res videos. I actually used a pretty low-res video, and I still got a pretty good sample. Basically, once you've removed everything, you kind of just want to go in and just check the lines, make sure everything's nice and smooth. You can sort of get nitpicky with here, and just take the color and then start filling it in. For this one, it actually looks pretty good. Not much work, except for that little area right there, I see. See, what we have here is just that little bit of tolerance that the machine missed. So let's 2 or something like that. So you could just go in, and sort of just crop that out a little bit, clear up the line, something like that. Not too big of a deal. So basically what you want to do is just go through all of those lines, make sure it's nice and pretty. Usually a bit of time, but it's easy. It's pretty simple. Shouldn't be too much of a hassle. rather than just head a vector I've already made. So this is kind of the result you want to have, you know. You just have the character isolated, no background stuff and whatnot. So that way you can just go in here, select everything, just copy, let it think, and then paste it into our new template. Isn't that nice? So at this point you go ahead and move it around, you know, play with it, get it how you want. In older templates, I'd actually erase the eyes just by filling in the colors of the main character. And you certainly can go through with that, though because of how lengthy the newsletters are getting, that background image tends to get blocked out a little bit, so it's not really essential. It doesn't make too much of a difference anymore, so for now we can just ignore that. And then right here, I'm just going to have some cutie mark vector that I already made. Just going to select that, copy it, and paste. You'll want to make sure that this layer is actually beneath the first layer. As you can see, we just go ahead and drag that down, so that way it's behind the character rather than on top of him. And then I like to put an opacity of about 50%, space transparent background, a nicer look, you know. So I'm just gonna move this a little, resize it a bit, and yeah, that looks kind of nice. And then one note: the first layer is the lowest layer in the thing. So as you can see, that cutie mark actually just kind of barely makes its way in. So what you can do is just get your eraser tool. I'll probably have to make it a little bit bigger. You can just go in and erase that. It doesn't need to be that clean because your other layer sort of cover for you, so it doesn't really matter too much. Alright, on to colors. Colors is by far the easiest. All you have to do is just go off of the character you've already imported. So for this first background layer, all the way down here, I just take their main color, the border of their main color, excuse me, and then I just use my good old paint bucket tool and just fill in that layer. Let that think. Now, as you can see, there's actually a second color here. The reason I do that is because some of the characters have multiple colors in their mains, which, you know, you kind of want to have a little bit more room to play around with that. So in this case, I'm just going to make this the same color as before because she only has 2 different colors, so you don't need to worry about that too much. For other characters, you can add in a second color and make that nice. You know, it's entirely up to you. I don't think that actually went through. There we go. And then for our next layer, I'm going to go into here. I like to use the inside color, so it's generally the same color, only just a little bit lighter. And make that, just get a nice little contrast going. That's nice. And then for the next layer, it's the same thing as before, just get the border of the body color. So in this case, that lighter gray. Just fill layer 9. Good. Our machine. Nice. Now, for the pony color, this is actually just a little bit more complicated, but still pretty nice. As you can see, it sort of has that little fuzziness to it. It's just a nice little element I like to have. So first off, what you need to do is you need to clear out this original color. If you try to paint bucket it, it'll just fill in all the blurriness, and it's nasty and you don't like that. So first, I'm just going to clear that. So now to get that look, what I use is the selection tool, the rectangular one, and I give it a feather. Basically, what the feather means, and we're going to use about 60 pixels here, the feather basically means that the edges of the selection will be kind of fuzzed out a little bit, like you saw. I'm just going to grab here. I like to basically put it just right at the border of that. As you can see, make sure that you keep the margins the look kind of. You see, it's got it off there in with our pony color. Let me just grab the right color here. Make sure I have that. Now just fill it in. So that way we get some really nice sort of fade into to the layer. Just adds a nice little touch to the template that just makes it a little bit less bland, you know. So yeah, now that we've got that done, we can just go ahead and put back our gray box, and we have the beginnings of your template. And from here, that's you just work on the text and whatnot, and make your newsletter. So let's go ahead and make an example here. So let's say I'm going to add in the schedule, so I'll just create a rectangle tool. I'll probably let's use this color. And we'll have a rectangle. Make sure that it's above all the other layers, that way it doesn't get overlapped or anything. And what I like to do is I actually like to make two separate rectangles, just so that way I can get sort of a border to it. So I'll just go in here, remake that. Then I'll change the color. Let's just use the secondary hair color just for now. So that way you have a nice little box to write your text in. Fortunately, Photoshop has a text tool, so you can just go in, make a different color. I don't know, let's do something that will destroy your eyes. Let's do something like bright green. Yeah. Val is trolling. And then from here you can just write in your text and make sure that it's the appropriate size. Maybe let's make it a little bit bigger. Now, one thing you have to remember about Photoshop is that its text tool doesn't quite work too well with you when you write paragraphs. So let's say I was going to say, troll, I am the king. If I were to hit enter, it would go to this. But as you can see, it's really close to the text. So actually what you have to do when you indent is you actually have to turn multiple times. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit it 8 or 9 times. Actually, maybe a little bit more, just because this text size is a little bit bigger. So as long as you keep a consistent rate in how many indents you make, it should be fine. Everything can work well. When you're done, you just hit the green arrow, and yay. And then if you want, you can add in more text, more images and whatnot. So going to a more finalized project, as you can see here, we have the original template in the background. We've got the Bronystate banner, you know, text in here. Added a few more vectors that I made just because, hey, it's fun, we can do that. And our traditional logos and whatnot. And yeah, all you have to do then is save as a JPEG. Now, if you're using my templates that I've already pre-made, you'll notice that it's about 5,000 pixels wide, which is kind of gigantic. And when you want to image map it, that's going to cause a lot of problems. So what you do is first you save as a JPEG. Let's just save it to my desktop. My to this JPEG. And we'll let it think for a bit as it's saving. just use maximum because we like making things high res because that makes it means it's pretty. Alright, once that's done, you just open up your new save. So we'll go in here, grab that. And now tag every one layer. So because of we can just the entire without too much worry. The reason we don't resize PSD is because it size all, which is a complete and total pain. Nobody wants to do that. Now, it's important to make sure you have the ruler here visible, so that way you know just how many pixels you're resizing to. In this case, when we post to our site, we post it at about 800 pixels wide. So we just go in here, resize it, make it small, let it apply that. And now let's zoom in just to make sure we have the right amount of pixels. So yeah, this is actually, I kind of overshot it a little bit. This is actually under 700, but that works fine. It's not a big deal. So now what we do is we get our rectangular selection and make sure that your feather is off in this case, because that would be really sweet. And deleting it didn't work for me. Why didn't it do that? Yeah, you're stupid, Photoshop. Here we go. Now we just grab the edge of the newsletter and select it. Make sure we select everything. Then you just hit copy. And then make a new image from clipboard. What that does is it's just made an entirely new image to save at the right dimensions. And from there, you just save it as a JPEG. Now, with that out of the way, let's close all of this. Then we upload our image to Imgur. Imgur is a great site. It's really easy to upload your images. You just select the image and it does everything for you. Then it gives you a link, as you can see here, nice and easy. So what you do is now HTML. Well, what the HTML does is, as you can see, we have all of these buttons here for people to click on. But obviously this is just an image, so clicking on that won't do anything. So the HTML will generate fields in which the viewer can click on the image, and then it will take them to whatever site. So what you need is you need the Imgur link. Other image hosting sites work fine, like PhotoBucket and whatnot. The reason we use Imgur is because it has unlimited bandwidth, so that way we don't get into a lot of trouble if tons and tons of people look at our images. And then what we do is we go to imagemaps.com and then enter in this URL and start mapping our image. Give it some time to think. Because this is it when it's a great site, by the way. It's really helpful. So in this particular case, I know this is a help or a rather blatant plug, but you know, it's a good site, and if you feel like donating to them, you know, go ahead. They give everything for free, so that's pretty nice. So yeah, here it's just really easy. All you do is just create a rectangle, which will make this little field, and then you can move the field around, resize it, and whatnot. So let's say for the A movie, which in this particular newsletter is Anchorman, I want them to be able to click on it and then go right to the IMDb page. What I do is just resize that. I type in whatever that link happens to be, and I give it a title. Make sure you include titles for everything, otherwise these links won't work, and that's not good. And then you can just keep doing that to all the different buttons you need and whatnot. And when you're finished, just click on Get Your Code. and then it'll start loading it up, and then you click on your HTML code link. And here, this has all of the HTML you need. You just need to select everything, copy and paste it into like a text editor, like Word or OpenOffice, and any of those things will work. All you need to do is save it as an HTML file, which they should all be able to do, and then give that to somebody else to send off, and your newsletter is done. Alright, well, I hope you all enjoyed, and good hunting out there. I hope to see a bunch of really cool newsletters now. So, take care. This is Valdejan, signing off.